Have you ever been told something was going to happen and then later it didn't actually happen? Maybe your friend promised he'd come over and play and never came over. Or maybe your parents said you could get some ice cream, but something came up and plans changed. Whatever the case, there are times that promises are made to us and those promises get broken. Jesus made promises too. He once made a promise that something was going to happen, something bad. And his words, well, they came true. Jerusalem is one of the most well-known cities in the world. Sitting in the southern section of Israel, less than 20 miles from the Dead Sea, this city was the center of Jewish culture during the time of Jesus. In the middle of this city, sitting atop the highest hill, was the temple, a truly incredible building. If you lived roughly 2,000 years ago, during the time of Jesus, going up to Jerusalem would have been a big deal. Imagine walking into the city and looking up and seeing the temple. The temple was where Jewish families living under the old law of Moses would go to make animal sacrifices for their sin. The temple was always a busy place. In the 1960s, archaeologists discovered an ancient but very well-preserved Roman road next to the giant temple platform in Jerusalem. An archaeologist is a person who studies human history by digging and looking at clues buried in the ground. The pavement was almost completely untouched, and they found shops where people sold things. However, they found something mysterious, and the clues point to something Jesus had promised. In Mark chapter 13, verses 1 through 6, we read about Jesus leaving the temple, very close to the area that you see here. One of his disciples was talking about how big the stones were and how amazing the buildings were. Jesus said that not one stone would be left on top of another. They would all be thrown down. Yikes, that's some major damage. But what Jesus said that day came true. In 70 AD, the Romans, who controlled Jerusalem, destroyed the temple where the Jews worshiped God. These stones piled up on the street, they came down off this very tall wall, pushed off by the Roman soldiers. They came crashing down onto the city street. Jesus made a promise, and it came true. This might not seem very important, but this shows us how God always keeps His promises. Think of some of the big promises God has made in the Bible. Telling Noah he would not destroy the earth again with water. Remember the rainbow? How about promising Abraham that he would make him a great nation, despite him not having a child? That came true through Isaac. Jesus himself is a promise from God. Jesus came, he was killed, and was raised for us. And now we're promised a home with him in heaven if we believe and obey him. Remember, like the temple being destroyed, what God says always comes true.